Niels, I was trained in science, and all my life I've been fascinated with religion, theology, does God exist? But I find these ideas at war, conflicting, battling in my own brain. Can you help me make sense of this?
Well, first of all, I don't think they need to be at war, because that presupposes that science actually wants to explain everything, and that religion also wants to explain everything, and then they are just happen to be in contrast with one another. What I take to be very important about science, also as a spiritual quest, is its sense of the analytical confinement. You are wanting to solve this problem, not all the world's metaphysical problems. So the method is analytical, whereas in religion it's more synthetic. It's about how do all things hang together, including actually the findings of science.
So in that sense, you're having religion be a broader concept of which science is a subset. I know a lot of my scientific friends would take issue with that.
They will, and they actually should, because from another perspective, then religion is just a small part of life, just like science is a small part of life. But if we think more about what are the kinds of questions that are posed, then you can say, well, physics is actually worldwide and very, very universal, but it's also very thin. It actually asks about very, very general things about the general matter. It's not interested in what we are talking about, you and me, right now.
Well, theoretically, hypothetically, in principle, if you knew everything about physics, you may be able to explain everything about everything.
That is true. That has been one very important idea in physics, that of determinism. We had it in Newton. We also had the kind of determinism in Einstein's theory of relativity. But I think actually that it is a program that actually has not been able to show its success. They say they can, but they can't. So who is going to be the next president in the United States? What's going to happen around us in the Middle East or elsewhere? I don't think that any physical sciences will have anything important to say about that.
But science leads to demonstrable facts, things you can be sure of. Religion doesn't do that.
That is the point. In a sense, you can say that physics is able to say something with a very high degree of certainty, although in the domains of quantum mechanics and elsewhere, you know that there are actually also limits to certainty. In religion, what's that about? So there has been some kind of religious convergence concerning, say, the general tendency towards monotheism in many cultures around the world. We can't know for sure whether a convergence means a convergence towards the truth.
But science makes progress. You can know for sure that you're advancing. Religion doesn't do that, does it?
Well, that is the question. You can never be sure about that, because what is religion about? Religion is not a theory that can be tested in a laboratory under specific laboratory constraints, but it's like a synthetic view where you have to take in very many experiences, moral experiences of urgency, experience of beauty, but also the intellectual experiences that have been provided by the sciences.
But in religion, you don't have the confidence that any progress, even towards monotheism, is necessarily something that is something other than a cultural experience. In science, you know something is sure, and then you can move to the next step.
In some sense, yes, but you also know that you will have to qualify this also for the sciences. I mean, Newton thought that the universe consisted of small bricks that were then ordered by God, and then we had another world picture coming on later on and saying, well, Newton was not quite wrong, but he was not quite right either. But I think that you're right, that this is one of the differences, that you have a sort of tested experiments behind sciences, and you only have the experience of daily life experience in religion.
How about yourself? What do you think? Do you have as much confidence in your religious convictions as you are in scientific knowledge?
Personally, actually not, I would say. But it will mean that I will always have to think about whether my own religious experiences and the culture in which that has informed me, which happens to be the Christian culture, whether this actually involves many misguided steps. So you need to have a very self-critical element in your way of being a religious person today. And I think this is a good thing. And may be very opposite when you're thinking about what we are talking about. If we want to talk about God, and God cannot be comprehended or limited to our understanding, how then could I say, well, I'm just approaching God more and more in my own religious quest?